And everybody, Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sunday, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. Well, it's Tuesday here on the show, and you know what that means. NXT is tonight. Big show. We'll go over to that here in a while. And, of course, last night was the fallout of the Royal Rumble. The first Raw show after the Royal Rumble. And we may or may not get ratings today. They were delayed because, it's Nielsen. It's 2023. We can't figure out how many people are watching a show. But we did get the SmackDown ratings. And we did get the Rampage ratings. And we also got some numbers from the Royal Rumble. And this WWE is hot. It's on fire right now. That SmackDown show. 2.544 million viewers watched SmackDown on Friday night. It is the second highest total for SmackDown since Christmas Day 2020. The Royal Rumble also did huge business. And, of course, we're on our way to WrestleMania. We got Elimination Chamber matches coming off Raw. We got WrestleMania matches coming off Raw. And I don't know if you saw it or not, but my super followers did. Think I'm going to WrestleMania this year. Think it's time. It's got to be done. Wasn't going to do it, but you know what? Plans change. So we'll talk about that here today on the program. All of the rest of the news, the world-famous Raw Report, Pat McAfee and the Royal Rumble, and plenty more. If you'd like to text us here today, what are your thoughts on everything? 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. Bryan at WrestlingObserver.com is the email. At Bryan Alvarez on Twitter. Back in a moment with more Observer Live. Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com.
You all right, Shmuley?
You know, Dave kind of talked about this last night, but the fact of the matter is WWE's on fire.
And fuego.
At this moment, they have sold 100... Actually, it's more than this now. This was a couple days ago. 109,297 tickets for WrestleMania. 109,297 tickets. And that's not a gimmick number. They've done a lot of those gimmick numbers in the past. That's where we're at so far. And there's actually only like 2,000 tickets left both nights. But presumably they can open up more seats. Guess I probably should get a ticket if I'm going to go, right?
Not necessarily.
I need to get in somehow.
Well, I have a feeling I know why you're really going.
Why is that?
I heard a rumor.
Oh, this should be good.
That you're back in the wrestling business, Bryan Alvarez. I heard a rumor that you and Filthy Tom are getting back in the ring, and I'm sure that you heard today. No. Oh,
yeah.
Coda?
Yeah, I'll get to Coda here in a moment.
GCW, Bloodsport, you and him.
I want no discussion on this program of my upcoming championship match, myself and Filthy Tom, against the Bang Bros for the BLP tag team titles. There will be no discussion of it here on this show. I don't want people trying to talk me out of it.
Wait a second.
No, I will mute you. I don't want to talk about it, okay?
Well, I want to talk to Mikey because how do you even get it?
I'm not. I muted you. I don't want to hear it, okay? I asked him, said it was on, so I'm doing it. Doing it for my... it started out as a sob story involving.
Started out as you trying to go to Bang Brothers website and you asked him, and he somehow turned that around into giving you a title match with the Bang Brothers, even though you haven't won a match in God knows how long.
Hey, can we get on to the real story here? I'm trying to get into the news. This ain't about me.
All right.
There'll be plenty of time to make it about myself. But anyway, 109,000 tickets sold for WrestleMania. The SmackDown show on Friday night did a whopping 2.544 million viewers and a .67 in 18 to 49, which puts it the number one show on all of television. Not cable.
Take that, Shark Tank.
Not cable, brother. All of television. SmackDown was the number one show. And then, of course, we've got the business for the Royal Rumble, which was also substantial. Where do we got it right here? Do I got it here somewhere?
Somewhere.
I thought I had it. Where is it here? Look at me. I am.
Look at us.
Contrary to popular belief, I am a professional radio host. But you know what?
What?
You know why I'm a professional?
Why?
Because I'm the first to tell you that everybody makes mistakes sometimes, and everybody forgets to put the information they want to put into their little note page right here.
Uh-huh.
But you know what? I can find it because I'm a pro. Royal Rumble, $7.7 million live gate. Now, not only did they break the Royal Rumble gate record, okay, but they didn't just eke out a victory over the previous record. This was up 50% from the previous record, which was the 2017 Royal Rumble at the Alamo Dome. The Royal Rumble was up 52% from last year's number, aired on Peacock. And as our own Andrew Zarian noted, the Royal Rumble was watched by more than 2 million people on Peacock. Now, I saw a thread on the board, and somebody did not believe this. They're like, it's impossible. That's the entire fan base.
DJ.
I don't think it was DJ, was it?
Well, I don't know. He's not happy right now.
Well, I'm just telling you facts.
I'm not saying he's not happy, but never mind.
Don't speak for DJ.
I'm not.
But
sorry.
Listen, because I actually I say a lot of stuff here on this show.
You do.
And rarely does WWE actually call me for a correction. Pretty much because I'm always right, I should add.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I do remember I was called once because they'd thrown a stat up on the screen, and I was like, this is ridiculous. So they called me. Okay.
Please say it was the weight of the Elimination Chamber structure or something like that.
No, it
Maybe
was,
that.
they put up like, last week 15 million people watched a WWE program.
Oh, yeah. The
and I was like, wait,
15,000
hold on a
vines or
minute.
whatever.
Hold on a minute. I added them all up. It didn't come close to that. And they called me. And in fact, they're right. Okay. Now, what this means is up to interpretation. But so the SmackDown show, when it says SmackDown did 2.5 million viewers, okay, that 2.5 million viewers is an average of the number of people that were watching at any given moment, okay? Now, you can say, well, sometimes people flip channels and, if they're watching for 1 minute, that counts. You're right, that does. But you know what? It's like that for every program on television. This is not a wrestling thing. Every single show on television, Below Deck Mediterranean, every number that you see on television, when you see that ratings chart, that's an average of how many people were watching. And, if my wife flips through and there's Below Deck Mediterranean and she's like, man, look at that cool boat. And she turns it off. Well, she counted. It's like that for every television show. So the point of this is, the number of people that are watching some portion of Raw, SmackDown, and NXT in a given week is like millions and millions and millions of people. Now, if you want to look back at the 90s, when Raw and Nitro head-to-head did like 11 million viewers that 1 week, that was also an average, okay? So when you think about how many people were watching some portion of those shows in the 90s, we're talking 20, 25 million people watched some portion of those two shows that night. But anyway, so, 2 million people watching the Royal Rumble on Peacock. This is not, oh my God, that's every single solitary No, it's not even close. And plus you have people like Mark's not watching these shows every week, but he comes over every year for the Royal Rumble. So, 2 million people watching on Peacock, that's really good. It's not like, we're not talking attitude era or anything like that, but it's good. That's a lot of people that decided they were going to watch the Royal Rumble.
So 2 million people on average watch the Royal Rumble throughout the entire thing, basically, is what that number comes down to then.
Yeah, I guess. Or I don't know. Well, see, the other thing is, I don't know how Peacock determines this.
Yeah.
Like 2 million people at some point were watching the Royal Rumble.
Well,
That's different than an average of 2 million people watching Raw on Monday night. But still, for a streaming service, for as Pat McAfee called it, don't yell at me, he called it the cock. That's good. 2 million people.
Well, and let's be honest, that's probably what it was. If that number is true, then that's probably the number on average for the whole thing because, if they got 20 million hits where at some point or another somebody stumbled trying to go to something else and they clicked the WWE tab and then clicked through to the Royal Rumble, I'm sure they are adding that all together to add it to one of those Indian numbers that they report about all of the streams that they get there. So I'm sure it was probably the average because if it was anything more than that, they probably would have already issued a press release about it because they are extremely happy about these numbers.
Well, they should be. They're great numbers.
Making money.
This thing is, and one other thing that I'm going to talk about after the break because we're running up against the break right here.
Yes.
But there is an aspect. People think they know what I'm going to say and why, but it's always. Everything is different. You should make a determination based on circumstances. So I'm going to tell you my thoughts on something after the break that may surprise you, but they shouldn't. Back in a moment, Observer Live. You know, there had been some rumored matches for WrestleMania this year. Not even so much rumored. They're flat out matches they wanted and they tried to set up. One of them obviously was The Rock and Roman Reigns, and the other one was Steve Austin versus either The Rock or Brock Lesnar. And neither of these are taking place. The Rock, you know, he's not gonna be ready to get in ring shape. Which I seem to recall I said he ain't doing this match, guys. And he's never wrestling again. But, you know. And then, of course, you know, Steve Austin opted not to do it either. Okay? And, you know, when discussion came up about these matches, these things have happened many times where WrestleMania is coming. What kind of outsiders can we bring in? Who can we bring in from the outside? And of course, that gets everybody getting angry. Well, God, you know, they need to create homegrown talent. They need to have their guys in a position to headline WrestleMania. You know, having to bring in guys from the outside, what does that say about your current roster? How many times have we heard this, Mike? Countless?
Countless.
All right. Well, you know, I was thinking about this. And if this were my company, you know what I'd want for WrestleMania this year?
What's that, King Bryan?
Well, I think I'd want Steve Austin versus Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns versus The Rock. A special appearance by Hulk Hogan. Who else could we get to come back? Whatever.
Ric Flair.
Okay. Ric Flair. Yeah, maybe Ric Flair's last match.
Yeah,
because here's the deal, everybody.
Against Keiji Muto.
Here's the thing. In every other year, you guys are absolutely positively right. Why aren't these homegrown folks, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But here's the difference.
Why aren't we puffing on homegrown in WWE?
They're trying to sell this company by mid-year.
And it's mid, all right.
Okay? So let me tell you something. If I'm trying to sell this company by mid-year, then, bro, if I have to bring in Martians, okay? If I have to, you know, there's a company that's working on bringing back the dodo bird, like you know.
You're gonna inflate some things, are you?
Whatever. I'm doing whatever I can with whoever I can.
Maximize this thing
to just explode this WrestleMania, so that I can sell it for an extra $1 billion by mid-year. Yeah. Okay, so I was just thinking about that. Like, there's, you know.
Yeah, well...
But no, next year after this thing is sold, do we need to be going back after The Rock and Steve Austin and The Undertaker and all? No! You need to be building a Cody. You need to be building a Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. You need to be building whoever you're going to build for the future. WrestleMania shouldn't be about bringing people back from the past to sell tickets. But this year it absolutely should.
Well, WrestleMania...
Undertaker and Ric Flair, book it.
Look, you can do both. You know, you're always supposed to be building towards WrestleMania. It should be your biggest thing of the year. It should be the thing that you're hyper-focused on, and you should have spent the rest of the year focusing on everything else, every part of your show, where it shouldn't be in this position where they're desperately trying to call back people, because you have people established, and you have... again, we have this conversation every year, but... Vince and that company love to go back to the past. They love to bring people back in, and they will try to, as long as they have legs, Stone Cold and The Rock, they will try to bait them out every single time. And I don't blame them for doing it from a corporate point of view, but honestly, I just would like to see, you know, again, more guys built up, and they have horses there, you know, on the main roster right now, and obviously in NXT with the Braun Breakers and the Strattons and all those sorts of people. They have Wallers, they have guys there that are going to be really good. So I hope this is a year where they really can focus on that. With all of this madness that's going to be taking place in the corporate world of things, the only thing that we can hope for is when all that shakes up, that, you know, the stuff on the ground, the stuff we see on TV continues to build and get better. That would be nice. We'll see.
You know, I do Steve Austin versus Brock Lesnar. I do Rock versus Roman Reigns. And then I would set up 4 rings.
Oh, boy. 4 Money in the Banks at
I
the
bet
same
you could
time.
get 50 people in a ring. I would have a 200-person battle royal.
Oh, boy.
Featuring every living person that had ever been a part of a WrestleMania. So we'd have Cyndi Lauper in there and Mr. T.
Wait a second.
Get old Hardy.
Time out.
Throw
Time
him out first. Yes.
You are trying to sell this company. I know you have a lot of money to burn here, but remember, do we need to bring back Cyndi Lauper and Mr. T? Or are we going to save some of those dollars and do something else like maybe
Brother,
the
I ain't
San
saving
Diego
no
Chicken?
money on this WrestleMania because I'm going to make it all back when I sell this company, when this thing shatters all records right
Pete Rose
before the
it is.
sale.
Pete Rose,
Yeah, Pete Rose, bring him back.
Hugh Jackman,
Fujinami.
Bob Barker.
Who else do we got? Yeah, Bob Barker.
Absolutely, Bob Barker.
Yeah. Everybody. Bring them all back.
Absolutely.
Every single
Yes.
one of them this year.
The frozen head of Gorilla Monsoon.
I didn't say that, but
That would be cool, though.
and you know another thing I got to say that I just want to get out there because it kind of was irritating me the last couple of days, and I live a calm, peaceful life because I vent here on this program. But Dave and I were going over the Rampage spoilers on the show last Wednesday, and we read them off and we said, for a while there, he was really trying to really, build this Rampage show up. And he was trying to get, the John Moxley's big matches, big names. And, he's kind of backed off that a little bit. This is not really like a big marquee show. And, of course, the main event was Emi Sakura and Jamie Hayter. And, man, people got so mad at us. And then, I don't know if you guys saw that match or not. The match was great. It was great. The Jamie Hayter-Emi Sakura match. All day the next day, people were even more angry. See? We told you the match would be great. It's like...
That wasn't the question.
What have I done to deserve this?
Well...
I never said anything about the quality of the match, nor did I say I didn't want to see the match. What I said was, it's not a big marquee lineup for Rampage. Now, would you like me to read the Rampage numbers, or am I going to get in trouble for that?
No, you might as well go
Well,
ahead.
Rampage did 458,000 and a .14.
Yeah.
And if you looked at the quarters, it declined throughout the show. Yeah. And Emi Sakura's match with Jamie Hayter was the lowest rated thing on the show.
Number 22 overall.
But you know what?
What?
I thought the match was great. I loved it. And you know what? Even if it did the lowest rated quarter on the show, it was still great.
Yeah.
So, bros, get off my back. Do you not understand the difference between a match you want to see and a match that's good versus a match that the masses are going to want to see? Do I have to explain this? I have to do less dad-splaining to my 6-year-old. Golly.
That was very dad-like. And, by the way, I think the high notes are starting to come back.
They are, unfortunately.
Hey, right in time for the Invisalign. When's that?
Dude, in an hour. Hour and a half.
You going to be okay for tomorrow? Because you're going to be moody as S tonight. I know it.
I don't know. Brian,
You're
tell
moody
what
now.
made it great. You want me to tell you what made it great? I can't because I'm on national radio. But when the match was over, I had somebody there that texted me, and they said, brother, these two beat the you-know-what out of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I watched it. You know what they did? They beat the you-know-what out of each other.
Yeah.
And they pounded on each other, and they suplexed each other, and they had great near falls, and they had great intensity, and they had a fight. That Jamie Hayter finally won in the end. It was great. What do you want? What do you want out of wrestling? You know what I want? I want a match that's I watch and I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. That's the best way to put it. I want a match where I watch and I go, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Basically, you want to have
and that's what I saw in this match.
Orgasmic release at the end.
No.
I do. I'm not saying I'm going to have one, but if you can try to work your match to the point where you are building people up, because isn't that what pro wrestling's about anyway with the crowd? Isn't that manipulation of the crowd to bring them up, bring them down again? You know, it's feeling good for a little bit, then you pull back, and then you're driving hard again, and towards the end you go and you bring them up and you pop them, and they're just exploding all over the place. That's pro wrestling. That's what I'd like to feel as a fan. That's what I want these performers to give to me.
You absolutely ruined a perfectly acceptable review of Jamie Hayter and Emi Sakura. I hope you're ashamed.
At least I didn't make
of all the times to
like
not mute you. Golly. Mike, this person asks, why are you like this? This person here, DJ, a true wrestle load. Don't even get me started. I'm also upset that I couldn't get that as the name of that Black Label Pro show that Tom and I are going to win the tag titles on. Wrestle Load. You heard me. Yeah, the Raw Report's coming up next. Back in a moment, Observer Live. In the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. It's time to talk about Kota Ibushi. Believe it or not, Kota Ibushi's return to the ring has been confirmed, albeit, it says on the front page, from an unexpected promotion. GCW announced the former IWGP Heavyweight Champion will compete in both Josh Barnett's Bloodsport on March 30th and Joey Janela's Spring Break on March 31st as part of their collective weekend in Los Angeles. The 40-year-old is a free agent after today, according to Dave Meltzer.
Yeah.
If he does not compete anywhere else before, it will be his first match anywhere since the 2021 G1 final when he lost to Okada. Dislocated his right shoulder. And if you've been following New Japan, man, it all went to hell from there now, didn't it? So we'll see what happens. The future of Kota Ibushi. But if I were a betting man, which in fact I am sometimes, I'm not sure you're going to see him back in New Japan, but I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Now I really need to go to Mania Weekend.
Yeah, in life, you know, what could have been, and his injury, the pandemic, and an awful relationship between the two sides, management and Ibushi himself, led us to what could have been with his run on top of New Japan. Without Kenny Omega around, I mean, it was going to be his. It was his time to shine. You know, yeah, you got Naito. Yes, you have Okada. Yes, you have Ospreay. But it was going to be a lot about him and Ospreay and him and Jay White, and unfortunately, it didn't end up happening. And the relationship disintegrated quickly. We don't have time today to go through all of it, but it really bottomed out in a terrible, terrible way. So it looked like some fences could be mended, but that contract was coming up, and he's, again, his career and his 40 years in Japan and how he built up his career, it wasn't a guarantee that even if things were great with New Japan, that he was not going to take this time to go out and feel the waters and to go visit his friend in America with AEW. But with the relationship
Actually, you know, but funny you mentioned it now that I think about it. Wasn't the story that he signed a lifetime deal with New Japan?
No.
Is his life over?
No. I think
that's what they said at the time.
Well, I think that's what, they did a lot of that sort of stuff. But remember, he had the deal before that. That was that New Japan DDT deal, and they made sure to have holes in this deal where if he wanted to go back, he could. But it was a 4-year deal. He signed it in 2019. And, you know, traditionally for years, a lot of deals were 1 year or 2 years at best, you know, just in the last couple of years. And basically since the shakeups in the early 2000s, we've had guys locked up for a lot longer now, just because, you know, the scope of everything and, you know, the shift of the wrestling business. So what, you know, even if things were great there, him dropping the title this year and going out at 40 years old to go do some other things, I mean, that wasn't out of the realm of possibility anyway. But now it's looking like, you know, hopefully this relationship with New Japan and Omega stays well, because if it doesn't, there's probably no chance you ever see Ibushi back in New Japan, and that's too bad. But it could be great for DDT, it could be great for Noah, because Noah's looking to have a much bigger year, and any money brought in by Kota Ibushi appearing in DDT for a one-off pay-per-view, that's going to benefit the entire Cyber Agent lineup.
Cody Rhodes comes out to open up Raw, and he does a promo talking about his time back in Ohio Valley, thinking he'd be WWE champion in 2 years, and then he runs through all the ups and downs of his career and says, I would never tell my younger self that this would happen because it was worth every step up this ladder. And then he challenges, of course, Roman Reigns for WrestleMania, and out comes the Judgment Day, and Dominic cuts a promo on him. You know what happened if you stole Finn Balor's number 30 in prison? And so fans chant, kick his ass, and Cody says, maybe I will. And so he challenges any member of the Judgment Day to a match for later on. We had Elimination Chamber qualifiers throughout the evening, And the Elimination Chamber this year, there's going to be a women's chamber to determine who faces Bianca at WrestleMania. And there is a men's chamber for the United States title. It is a U.S. title elimination chamber. Seth Rollins beat Chad Gable. Good match. Well, it lasted, went about 9 minutes. So Seth Rollins is qualified for this match. Then we had the Io Sky Candice LeRae match, which was 9 minutes. And I'm not even sure what's going on here. It was a match. It was fine. I don't really know what the point was. But they did announce before the match, and I was even more baffled. They go, Dakota Kai was injured at the Rumble. So then later they did a segment where Becky wants a match with Bayley. And Bayley says no. So Becky goes backstage. She drags Dakota out with a chair wrapped around her leg. And it's like, why didn't you just do that for an injury angle? Why'd you tell us she was hurt at the Rumble and then shoot an angle to injure her after you told us she was already hurt? It was bizarre. So for those of you that were upset about the cage match being cut for time last week, well, you're going to get the full cage match next week on Raw in Orlando. They're taking it full circle back to where this all started. Becky Lynch and Bayley in a cage next week. We had a Rhea Ripley segment, which I thought was great. Except turns out it was they did something weird. So the story is, according to Rhea, that she showed up 3 years ago, and her career was just getting started, she said. I debuted on Raw. I challenged Charlotte Flair. We went to WrestleMania, and she put me in my place. Now I have won the Royal Rumble. I get to choose whoever I want. And in fact, at WrestleMania, Charlotte, I'm going to put you in your place. And the only problem with this great story is, in fact, that's not exactly what happened. Charlotte was the one who challenged Rhea Ripley 3 years ago and did, in fact, put her in her place. Now, this year, Rhea better put her in her place because it's time, I'm afraid.
Oh, it's beyond time. I mean, look.
It was time 3 years ago, but it's
was
really
time 3 years
now.
ago. Exactly right. And that was the biggest problem with that feud at the time was the fact that Rhea, who was so strong on NXT, comes up and it looks like a threat, then got reduced to this little girl who was here, you know, against her hero that she watched growing up sort of thing. It didn't work at all. But this whole reinvention of Ripley, she's as strong as, again, she and Bianca are super duper strong right now.
You know, what's funny is everyone in the chat here says Charlotte's winning. You know, we had this exact same discussion last year when I told you all that Bianca Belair was going to WrestleMania and she was going to win. And you all told me she wasn't going to win. And I told you she was. And you all told me she wasn't. And she did. So if you'd like to imagine that Charlotte is going to beat Ripley at WrestleMania, go ahead. But I'm telling you, Rhea's winning this match. Get back to me when I get back from L.A. Johnny Gargano faced Baron Corbin, Elimination Chamber qualifier, and it beat him. Beat this man. And, I mean, quite frankly, it was not fair because Dexter Lumis showed up with an axe.
What do you mean? What are you talking about wasn't fair?
He had an axe.
JBL
Mike.
tried to get involved.
He had an axe.
JBL had a hat. I think cowboy hats are a lot more dangerous than people with hatchets sometimes. I can tell you that being in this country.
So anyway, we had a segment with Seth Rollins where it was brought up that he was eliminated by Logan Paul, and he got very mad. So that's a WrestleMania match it's looking like. We had an excruciatingly long, horrible segment with MVP and Austin Theory on the VIP lounge. They just talked and talked, and I tried so hard to care, couldn't. And then finally Lashley shows up, and Austin Theory bails, and Lashley accidentally spears MVP. And then looks like he feels bad about it. Slow build here to this deal. Miz in the ring, thinks he should have had a better time at the Rumble, better number. Adam Pearce comes out, says, you've got a match tonight against Raw's newest superstar. It's Boogs, who boogs his way down to the ring, beats Miz in a minute 14, and then boogs his way through the rest of this show.
You aren't lying about his name. It is Boogs now because there are a whole lot of extra O's.
Boogs.
Count with the extra muscle that this dude put on. Holy
Dude, this
smokes.
guy, my God, he was 500 pounds of muscle, it looked like. He was just, what do the kids say? Yoked?
Do they say that now?
We had the Becky Bailey segment setting up the cage match for next week. Which was weird. I mean, Becky has to force Bailey to accept the match, even though in storyline, Adam Pearce had just come out and go, bro, I booked this match last week and you heels prevented it, so it's happening next week whether you like it or not. Deal with it. Instead, Becky has to beat up her friends to force her to accept the match. That was weird.
Well, they didn't want to do two of those in the same show. They'll do the same finish 3 times in the same show, but they didn't want Pierce going out there and doing that like he did to The Miz and Boogs.
We had Bronson Reed destroying Dolph Ziggler, total squash to set up an Elimination Chamber match. Man, Dave tried so hard to convince me I need to see this Dolph Ziggler Ali match. I couldn't possibly care less about these two geeks. They both come off totally unlikable characters. All they ever do is lose. Like, what? I'm supposed to be excited that one of these losers will finally win?
I know.
We had the return of Carmella, who's interrupted by Asuka. And then we had...
And by the way, she was not Bianca.
No, they advertised Bianca, but it was more important for us to see the return of Carmella, who was treated like an afterthought. And then a segment with Boogs to set up some other matches next week, which I didn't care about when they were over. I would have rather seen the Raw Women's Champion. Anyway.
I know.
Next week, it's Becky versus Bailey in a cage. Angelo Dawkins, Damian Priest, Chamber Qualifier. Montez Elias, Chamber Qualifier. And Candice, Mia, and Piper Niven and Carmella in Elimination Chamber match.
Montez and Elias. So who beats Elias with his own guitar before they get in that match with Montez? There's no way that match is coming off like that.
I hope it does. I want to see that match. And then the main event was Cody Rhodes and Finn Balor. You know, it's funny. We reviewed the Royal Rumble. And then, you know, for some reason on our board, a bunch of people were going, God, they must be friends with Cody. They're so biased. And I was like, what in God's name are we biased about? And then I asked, I was like, please just explain to me what we were biased about. And I think it's been now 48 hours, no one's answered. So I think people just wanted to be mad about something. And I don't even know what.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to be mad at me for being biased, I thought Cody was awesome on this show. I thought his promo was great. I thought the match with Finn Balor, I thought he did a hell of a job coming off a torn pec, his first real one-on-one 15-minute singles match. He won 3 Crossroads. Place loved the guy, cheered him from start to finish. I thought this was a great showing for Cody on this show. Back in a moment with more Observer Live. You know, this person here goes, they think you're carrying the water for Cody to keep the title shot against Roman for Mania over Sammy, probably since there's always a conspiracy. But, you know, here's the thing, everybody. I do a lot of fantasy booking, okay? I do a lot of, here's what I think is going to happen or where they should go or whatever. When we don't know where they're going, I do one sort of fantasy booking. It's like, okay, well, you know, I don't know what they're going to do, so I think they should do this or whatever, okay? And then I do make a choice, what I think they should do, okay? In this situation, the reason that all of my fantasy booking involves Kevin and Sammy going for the tag titles and Cody going after Roman is not at this point because I am choosing Cody over Sammy as the one that I want to see get the shot at WrestleMania. We're far beyond that, okay? Months ago, I said, you know what'd be awesome is if Sami Zayn beat Roman Reigns for the title. It ain't going to sink the company. It's not going to make one bit of difference, and it would be an awesome moment, okay? That was months ago. Now, they've made their decision. He won the Royal Rumble. He's being advertised for WrestleMania. That's the match. So at that point, yeah, my fantasy booking is all built around Cody is getting the shot against Roman. Well, how can we make this work? How do we not get people to turn on Cody? And the funny thing is, that SI article I wrote, I saw some of the feedback. Always stupid to look at the feedback. They're like, oh, man, they're trying to create a narrative to turn these fans on Cody. I was like, what? I'm trying to figure out a way that nobody turns on anybody and everybody's happy in the end. I gotta go put stuff on my teeth. Maybe you know what they'll do? Maybe they'll wire my whole mouth shut. Make my life a lot easier.
I think I just lost my load at that.
I'll see you next time.